All right, so I'm going to just show you how you can create a rubric in Google Classroom. The benefits for this are just so wonderful because it's going to save you time on grading. It's also going to be able to give your students feedback for why they received a certain grade. All right, I just wanted to give you a quick preview of how this looks and how quick it could be, so that way you know if you need to watch the rest of the video. So I push out a Google Slides, it's their digital notebook. So I made each of my criteria the slides or slide that I'm looking at. Also made a rubric that was like a scale of 5. You could make one that's a scale of 2 and one that's a scale of 5. It's kind of whatever you want. But I can literally just go through this and look and see how the students did, and I know what I'm looking for. They have everything correct, right? If they miss anything, so they missed one thing on here, and then I can go ahead and it totals it for me. I don't know if you're keeping track of that, but let's just go ahead and you can see they got a 24 out of 25. So watch the rest of the video if this sounds like something you are interested in. So some things to keep in mind is it's really good for like when you're grading, not having to type in a value, like if you actually had it as a graded assignment. So not having to go through each student and enter in whatever grade, you can just click, and if you have the value assigned to the rubric, it's going to automatically input that and calculate it for you. It's really good for multi-page assignments. So I'll show you an example of that for my class. It's also good for assignments that have multiple criteria. So one pagers or 2-pager assignments that have multiple criteria. So like maybe an essay, so spelling, punctuation, all that. Or in science, we do CERs, right? Claim, evidence, response. And each of those would actually be worth a different value, right? So it does give you flexibility with creating different values for different criteria. And again, it totals it all for you, so you don't have to waste your time doing that either. So it's wonderful. So if you've never used rubrics, just give it a try, experiment with it. It's really not scary, and I'll walk you through it, okay? So other benefits, it can be added while you're creating an assignment, like at the time you're creating it, or let's say you're in a rush, you're just posting an assignment, you want to go back and import the rubric later, you can do that as well, as long as you just click edit, right? You are going to need to assign a point value to the assignment just so that it can calculate it for you. And then you'll also need to return the assignment for the students so that they can view the feedback. And that's like in part 2 of the video for while you're grading and returning, okay? You can add specific values. You can rearrange it as you go. You can, I told you guys, utilize different criteria and have different descriptions and values and things like that. You can duplicate, this is the wonderful thing, you can duplicate the criteria to save time, so you don't have to retype out all 3 or 5 or however many things. You can have it arranged in whatever order makes sense to your brain, so ascending or descending order. You can set it up for one class and then use that for another class. I'll show you how to do that. And then you can also save it for future use. So let's just say you have an assignment, you give it every year. You can save the rubric for that and then repost it to your class, okay? So you don't have to like recreate it. You could also save it so you could share it with other teachers, right? We're all in the habit of sharing, especially these days, right? So that's actually really great too if you have a collaborative assignment that you work on with another teacher, okay? And then my recommendation is just to keep it in a folder where you actually have the assignment. It's going to default to saving it in your Google Classroom, right? But me personally, I want it linked to whatever assignment it is so that I can put it on there even if I don't want to have to go back and dig into my past Google Classrooms, okay? If I was going to create an assignment, okay, so I would have to go here. It could be a regular assignment, it could be a Cami assignment, okay? So I was just going to create an assignment. Okay, so you can see I have my assignment set, and then you're going to see this rubric option right here, okay? And let's just say you're not ready to make your rubric. That's fine. You can just assign it, and I'll show you how you can go back and edit it. If you're ready to make your rubric, just click on that, and I'll take you through it in just a second. All right, so if you now are wanting to sit down and make your rubric, you can just click edit, okay? And again, you can see that rubric option is still right there, okay? You're going to click add rubric. So we're going to create a rubric, and then I'll show you how you could reuse a rubric and import a rubric. It's basically a rubric builder, right? So what you have here is a criterion, right? Or something that you're going to be looking at. It could be for English, it could be spelling and grammar and, vocabulary and, whatever you're looking for. For science, it could be CERs, or if you do multiple, like a digital notebook, you could have each slide, like I did in the example earlier, right? So you just write out your criteria. It could be slide 1, just kind of keep it simple, right? If you want to write description, you can write a description. You don't have to. And you just can build it as you go, right? So if you know one slide is going to be worth 4 points, you could do your scale here, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you could also even add a 0 if you wanted to just kind of note that that page was blank, You could write an awesome job, here. All looks good. Anything, encouraging or any feedback that you'd want to give them. And if you see here, as soon as I transitioned, it like kind of went in my force now over here. So you can change that. If you're like you'd rather it be 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, that's fine. You can make it ascending and it'll keep that, or it'll default to the descending. Okay. So for 3, you could write, 1 to 2 missing or incorrect, or you could write, a few things were misspelled, or, some kind of feedback, right, that you'd want to give them. Now, so let's say that you are going to basically be reusing the different levels and the different descriptions. Then you can actually click this and duplicate the criterion. And the only thing you would really need to make sure you change is the slide number or the title of the criterion, right? If it's completely different, then you just add another one and you just build it like you did before. All right, so when you're done and after you've built it the way that you want, you can see the total here. Just always make sure that total there matches the total description for your point value that you gave for that assignment. So here you can see my total rubric is only 11 and my actual assignment is worth 25. So you're going to want to make sure that you change that if your rubric ends up being different. Okay, I'll show you how you could go ahead and actually use a rubric from a different Google Classroom that you've already, like a different period number that you've already used. So you just go to reuse rubric and you're going to see for this class, right, the ones will be defaulted there. But let's just say I want to grab it from my period 1. Well, those would be in there also, right? Or you could go back to actually your archived classes, which is pretty wonderful. Okay. It just might get a little messy if you're using it all the time. So that's why I suggest maybe just importing it, and I'll show you how to do that next. But you could actually click on this. Let's just say it's a rubric that you use for all your essays, right? And it'll actually have for you the value of that rubric. And you just want to make sure that value on the rubric matches the total points value for the assignment. So if I ever had a saved rubric that I wanted to actually save to my sheets, okay, I could actually export this to sheets, okay? And what you would want to do is click that view that pops up really quickly at the bottom, okay? And it's going to import this, right? And it's going to import it as whatever the title of my assignment was, right? So sample rubric, this is not necessarily what I would use for my cave rescue, okay? And I would also move it to whatever folder in my Google Drive that I'd want it, because it's going to save it in your classroom. So if you guys want it to save in your classroom drive, that's fine, okay? Or you can move it over to where you want it to be, okay? And you would just click move there. So that's how you would save a rubric that you actually created that you might want to share with another teacher, okay? Now, once you save that rubric to a sheet, right, and wherever you want it, you could click on import from sheets, okay? And what that's going to do is it'll probably bring up your, it'll definitely bring up your spreadsheets. And if it was recent, you could search for it this way, or you could type it in, right? You're going to click add. And that rubric that you saved even last year, right, is going to be appear on here and be exactly what you wanted it to be, okay? Now, the one thing is if I clicked save right here, okay, it's probably going to give me an error message because for some reason it doesn't like if I changed it from the default descending, and now it's at ascending, I just have to change it back to ascending, okay? And then hit save. I don't know why, guys. If you know why, let me know. And then it'll go ahead and save. So that's just like the one weird thing about importing if you changed it from the descending default, okay? So let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully this saves you some time.